All right, guys, we are live. So, welcome to episode 2. I'm excited to talk with you guys. I see some of the same faces, obviously, that we had last week. Some new ones too. Some everybody from new agents to older agents, seasoned agents. So, I'm pumped to bring you guys this. Let me pull out my notes real quick so I make sure I stay on task this week. I got a little excited last week. I was watching the video and I was like, man, what a throw up of words. I think that Lane taught me yesterday. He said, hey, buddy.
Word vomit.
Yeah, word vomit. Just slow down a little bit. Right. But obviously, when you're excited about something and passionate about something, you just get on a roll and you can get talking. So, like I said, excited to talk to you guys today. Excited to get this training out. The thing that I'm kind of going to do today is a little bit more like new agent, getting a few new agents on, also getting a seasoned agent that we have on to talk about some quality of business. And then we're going to lead off or end with Ian and Zach and more or less talk about some of the things that they might have done earlier on that they're doing now, and to speak to their younger selves in the insurance industry. So it'll be fun to talk to them on that. But first person we're going to bring on and kind of ask some questions. We're going to start with some new agents. Trey, are you out there? Could you turn your volume on?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's up, buddy? So those of you guys that don't know, Trey has come in with Buddy and Buddy's team, and he has just been doing great ever since he got started. I rode with him, I think only like 1 or 2, maybe 3 days. Buddy rode with him for about 2 or 3 weeks. And he, from the day that he got out, he's been on fire and columns like crazy. So I'd like for him to kind of share on some of his experiences, fears and stuff. So the first question I have for you, Trey, is just like I said, what was your biggest fear coming into this career when you heard about it or when you thought this might be something that you could do?
Well, I mean, I'd say the biggest fear is the fact that it's commission only. Basically, if you don't produce, you don't get paid. Definitely a big fear of mine because I've been, ever since I've started working, 40-hour a week job. I mean, I know every Thursday a paycheck was there. We could budget, do all that. So, definitely a big fear stepping into it. I mean, it's a whole new world. I've either been a mechanic or an electrician my entire life. Don't know anything about insurance other than the fact that you have to have it pretty much, no matter if it's home, car, or life. So definitely learned a lot in the last few weeks.
Biggest fear really though was the money side of things, just kind of that, not because it's funny to talk to newer folks and it's it could be a money thing or a fear of being able to engage with clients and stuff, but it's always interesting to hear. Hey Jeffrey, put yours on mute there. I think the diner there, it's a little loud. But anyways, so Trey, next question that I got for you. So far, how much success do you feel like you've seen in your short 2 or 3 weeks you've been out on your own?
I mean, I've definitely seen more success than I thought I was going to have. Just from mine and Buddy's original talks, he was like, man, I want you to, go out and just get your face kicked in the first few days, just get your nose out of the way and, just hit objections. And basically that's what I did. I mean, I think I had Buddy on speed dial, honestly, because after I left every single house, I was calling him, hey man, this happened. What do I do to overcome it? And I mean, it was just a learning process every house. And I mean, I got my nose and then started getting my yeses. And I mean, that's what I build on, I mean, you get that first yes and you're pumped, you're psyched, but at the same time, it doesn't matter because you still have to go to another house.
Yeah.
And, you got to strive for that yes on that one as well. So.
And one thing, and I'm not even going to lie, I still struggle with this to the day, 10 years in, is letting the last house go. And sometimes for a new agent, especially, that's tough to do. You can ask Lane yesterday, that big house I was in at the beginning of the day that I didn't get. The rest of the day, I was just like, dang it, we're going to go see them again. We're getting them. They're coming around. We're going to talk them into at least talking to us. So it's funny, you carry it with you and definitely throughout the day. But next question I got for you is, and this might be a little personal, but I wanted to ask it. how much have you deposited so far since you've been in the business?
So I've basically been out on my own since like the middle of May. And I think I totaled it up the other day. I sent it to Buddy. My first deposit came May 19th, and I believe it was last Saturday, which I think that's the 26th or 27th. Just in that 2-week span, I had deposited just under $8,000.
Man, that's awesome. And so compare that, and then just to kind of give people some idea of where you came from, what that did to you, how that's life changing and stuff like that. What would that have compared to with the jobs that you've worked in the past and the income that you were seeing at those jobs?
So the job that I just left, I was an electrician for the last 10, 11 years. I think my highest month, so a 4.5 week total that I ever saw, was probably right around $4,500. Basically over the last couple of weeks, working Monday through Wednesday, just 3 days working, I made roughly 3 weeks worth of pay. So in 2 weeks, I doubled what would have been my monthly income from my other jobs.
And then answer me this. Did you get to go to some ball games and some different things that you might not have been able to go to in the past or been able to be present at?
Yeah. I mean, my other jobs, it was, 6 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon. So, I mean, I was home every day, but the freedom knowing that I didn't have to leave a job early to be able to go to my kids' sporting events or something like that, was definitely a good feeling, knowing that my finances were still taken care of, even if I only worked, 6 hours one day because I needed to get to a ball game or something. So yeah, the freedom is created, and just the financial freedom, if you will, it's been nice for sure.
Oh yeah, and you've earned it, man. That's the cool part about this job is if you go out there and you do what Buddy has pretty much asked you to do and follow the instructions, you've earned the right to be able to enjoy that Thursday and Friday and not be so stressed about what you haven't done or what you need to do. You know what I mean? So next question. This is an interesting question because you could give any answer you want, but what percentage have you feel like you've mastered in insurance so far? If you had to put a percentage number on it, and then I'll tell you why I'm asking this question.
Man, honestly, I feel like I've only mastered maybe 5 or 10%.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest with you, I know there's so much more that I got to learn. I mean, I'm still calling, Buddy or you. I feel like it's every day, every other day, asking questions. Hey, what's this? What's that? How does this work? How does that work? Whatever. So
I wouldn't say every other day. It's every house, and I think that's one thing that I was going to mention too. That is when he's saying that he only and mastered 5 to 10%. Once he gets 5 years in from now, he'll have a better understanding of where he really was at right now compared to what he's going to know. But looking at the success you've had with the limited amount of knowledge that you feel like you even know about insurance. And so tell me this, when I saw a Buddy kind of doing a little incentive, not little, but an incentive a couple days ago to get you guys to do in and up calls and being able to call him when you're in the house. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about what has that done to help you propel so fast?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the incentives are nice, obviously. I mean, who doesn't like free money? But I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it's like I said, it's definitely a numbers game. Money has always intrigued me. I like talking to you and Buddy, and I like hearing from the higher up guys, because then that shows me the potential and gives me a goal to strive for of where I want to be in this business. And
awesome, man. So tell me this, let me see this real quick. We kind of answered this one, but the last question I had for you is, what is the thing that you've seen is helping you see the success as fast as you have? And I think you kind of talked on that. And that's the up calls. I mean, I've been with Buddy while we're on a middle of a Friday and you're calling him, or you've even called me in a fair amount of houses too. But I don't think there's probably been a house that you've sold so far that you haven't called Buddy in. Is that correct? Or tell me if I'm wrong.
There was only one actually. At all of them that I have sold, I have had either Buddy or you on the phone. One that I actually have to go back and check on. I had no service in the house to call anybody. So I basically did what I could, and I called Buddy when I left. He had a couple pointers for me on how to handle that situation, and next time it happens, it'll go that route. But
and the number one pointer he had was call me in the house.
Yeah.
That's probably what he said.
Yeah, well, I told him, I was like, man, I had FaceTime. I was like, I guess I could have just got you on video chat and you could have just seen everybody.
There you go.
But I was trying to avoid that one.
Yeah, that'd be a fun job, just sitting in an office doing video chats with everybody live in houses. That's that'd be fun. But I was kind of teeing you up on that, man. Just to kind of talk about, you've seen great success. You've listened very well on any advice that we've given you. You're so eager to ask us questions, even above and beyond where you're currently at right now. I've seen you try to learn different products that you're not even ready to sell yet, when it comes to participating and different stuff like that. So I've seen that, and that's led to your success, man. It's like you're biting off a big bite of the apple. You're not just sitting there waiting for the right time. You're doing it, man. You're calling people, you're figuring stuff out, you're participating in the group meetings. I don't think you've missed a training or a call yet. It's like, those are the things that if you could just get every new agent to understand how important it is to do all those things and then stay motivated in that, it's a game changer. It literally draws out your success. And so a lot of times with new agents, and I was telling Lane this yesterday, if you're not calling us in the house, it's tough for us to know what you're even struggling with, whether that's a closing issue or a connecting issue or a getting them to understand why you're there issue. And so I love that you've seen the success that you've had. I've loved that you're making more money than you were making. I love that you're enjoying it so far. And I love that you've been such a great team player so far, man. So you've been killing it. So thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, well, and also two things. One, like I told Buddy from the get-go, failure is not an option with this. I got too much riding on the line with this business. To support my family. We got dreams, we got goals, and failure's not an option. But the one thing that I wanted to tell some of the new guys that are on this call that I've learned just from this week, if you come across a lead that's not home, that's basically like you've never seen them before. Make sure you go back. My 3 sales in the last 2 days have been from people that weren't home a week and a half ago. And I went back and sold all 3 of them that I saw. One guy yesterday, I actually found out for him that every quarterly payment that he makes, it equivalates to, he is in the negative $345 a month. He got put in an IUL. His cash value is gone. His premium is about to go up to about $530 a month from 178. So I was able to get him out of that and just get him a simple $15,000 policy at the end of, he's 77. And we were able to get him day one coverage. And I'd have never had that opportunity to help him out or save him from a headache a year or 2 down the road if I hadn't gone back and seen him.
You know what's mind blowing to me, Trey, about that conversation, what you just said? And Buddy actually told me this yesterday, that you had replaced a UL. And that's the perfect situation for you to run into to replace a UL, is when their cash value runs out, premiums are going nuts, and you're in there as the savior to be able to help them kind of consolidate down a little bit of coverage, get them locked in on a premium. But what you don't realize is, and some of the other, Ian can speak to this, I know Jamal can, even Lane and Buddy, new agents don't do that. That's not been like, there's not many new agents in their first 2 weeks that are going and overcoming a universal life, especially talking about it the way you just did. You understand it. You understood why it was bad and why it caused it to go bad, or what caused it to go bad, and then what you needed to do to fix it. And I think, like I said, I think that just comes with, you're like at our hip, man. You're calling me every day, texting me every day. Hey, you got a minute? I got a question about this, about that. You know what I mean? And that's what it takes. And not all the times are you going to get an immediate answer, but you're so consistent in that. And so it was awesome to hear you just talk about that. Cause I remember I said this last week, and I think Ian probably remembers this back in the day, but I was trying to force people into coming to the office on Friday to learn about universal lives. And this was people that were in the business 2 or 3 years at that time. And we didn't even know how to overcome universal life. So for you to be in your first 2 or 3 weeks and you're already doing that, that's just awesome to see. And that just pumps me up. So, but Trey, thank you so much for coming on, man. The next person that I'm going to be bringing on is somebody that's actually been with us for a while, ever since Revive started. I remember, I'll tell a quick story. I promise I won't be long-winded with it, but I remember actually his upline at the time, back when we were with Securus, in a little different business model than how we do now. I remember interviewing him in my Camaro out, or it might have been his Camaro. It's my Camaro or his Camaro. We both had Camaros at the time. And it was outside a bowling alley. And we were sitting in there in the car. And I remember just going through the pamphlet with him, talking to him about the business, talking to him about how it pays, what carrier we use, how overrides work, and all that. And just to see where you're at now, man, is really cool. And obviously at that time, I wasn't the upline. I was just business development, and I had a specific job that I did. But it's been really cool, Jamal, to watch you grow from where you were at there to where you're at now. And then even some of the mountains that you overcame during the process. So I wanted to bring Jamal on. The big reason I wanted to bring him on is he's seen success. He's seen kind of getting a little bit complacent, and then
just call it failure.
Yeah, failure. And then he's seen consistency. And man, is he consistent now. And not only consistent, in Revive, he hands down has the best quality of business out of everybody in the agency. And that's not a fluke. You know what I mean? And that's not something that's just for 1 month. That's been his career. He's had the best placement and persistency, which is quality of business checks and stuff like that. So would love to have you come on and talk with us, Jamal. My first question, which I kind of just ruined the story, but how did you get into the business and what was your perspective coming in?
How did I get into the bit? You talking about from Securus? Like those time?
From the beginning.
Oh, I think that was back when I was still waiting tables at the airport. I remember Jordan was like, I think Jordan said something about how he gonna have a $10,000 check or something, some crazy check or whatever. And I was like, if you do that, I will put my 2 week in. And then he did it, and I put my 2 week in. Well, that's probably not how it happened exactly, but I got, I put my 2 week in after I had like a couple of like good weeks. Like after my first 2 weeks, I was like, okay, I could do this. So I put my 2 week in, but I knew like you didn't even have to talk to me in the Camaro. Like I was already getting started in the business. All I need, because Jordan, I've known Jordan since we've been like, I've known Jordan since we were like in elementary school. So I've always had the mindset, if he can do it, I can do it. Right. Yeah. So it's just, once he did it, I was like, oh, it's over.
Right. I remember, that's so funny you say that, because I remember when we were down on one of those first incentive trips and we were playing basketball out on that hard top, and you and Jordan and y'all's effort was amazing. Yo, you're 100% right there. You were after it. So that's awesome. But my next question for you, man, is tell us about your past 2 years and where you had gotten to in the business, and then what got you out of it and where you're at now.
All right, I want to spend quite a minute on this because this is, I could talk about this for a long time, but I'm gonna try to keep it short. But this is like probably be the biggest help to anybody on the call, even people that's like consistent and like doing big numbers. But the biggest thing that helped me was this book right here called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And basically he explains how to change, like how to create good habits and get rid of old bad habits. Because once you reach a certain age, I think it's like 25, you're going to just do what you've always done. And the only way to get out of that is to make small increments, like, get a little bit better and make it easy. And that book honestly changed my life. It's the best thing ever. Honestly, I just got super I think the business got a little too easy for me. Like I just got comfortable. And the only way you get comfortable is by comparing yourself to other people. So for example, if let's say you're obese and you look at somebody that's more obese, you could be like, well, I'm not as bad as that guy. But then there's always going to be somebody that's better than you. And then you're going to think that you're going to be kind of stuck in limbo. And the only person you can compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. And that's what the book kind of helps me with, is getting 1% better every day. And then if you do that every day, every quarter, you won't recognize who you were. And so I got just comfortable in the business. I got to the point where I knew I could just go out and get an app every day. So I would get like 15, 20 leads, work 2 days. I mean, it was really bad, man. And then, but once I got consistent, basically, guys, the sauce is literally, there is no sauce. Right. So if you go to the gym, you can't ask a power lifter, how do you lift 400 pounds? He's going to say, pick it up. Right. I remember when I was at the Christmas party, I asked Bill, I said, so what do you do? He was like, I knock on doors. And I was like, oh, okay. Right. And so what I learned is if you've been buying 20 leads a week, well, don't worry about what it's like to buy 40, just buy 5 more consistently for a month and see what that does. And you're going to start saying, well, what if I bought, 10 more leads? And then the sauce will become apparent, right? Because if you got 50 people to see, you're not going to let a guy waste your time for an hour, right? You're going to notice all your houses are closer together. So why would I let this guy waste my time for an hour when my next lead might be his neighbor? You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
You think Apple's worried about the nose when they got all these people that want, like, no, they got too many leads. They got too many people that want an iPhone, right? So that's the thing. I think the real sauce is buying more leads. And once the more leads you buy, you're gonna start noticing everything. Houses are closer together. You get no's faster. No's don't matter. You're gonna start noticing that no's don't matter because there are enough laydowns in every batch of leads that you get to profit on what you bought. So the more leads you get, the more money you're gonna make regardless. Right. Now that might not seem apparent, and you don't need to see what that looks like. You just need to buy 5 more leads than you normally buy consistently for a month, see what that does, and then you're gonna be like, okay, let me get 5 more than that, and then consistently for a month, and then you're gonna see, right? You're gonna start seeing that sauce. And so that's what I basically did. I don't know if I answered the question, but yeah.
No, you definitely did, man. And so the next thing I would ask you on, just to add to what you just said just a little bit, is not only did you change the amount of leads that you got, but I remember how specific you were about how many days you were going to spend out in the field getting yes or no's. Because I remember this is like it was yesterday, man. I remember calling you, and I was actually in the gym at the time, and I was talking to you about, man, like, what if you went back to the work ethic that you used to have, but the skill you have now? And you're just like, well, I'm doing all right. And I'm like, well, maybe we could add a couple carriers. At that time, you were still just riding with one carrier, still one of the most expensive carriers on the market. And I remember talking to you, I was like, maybe we should add some Mutual of Omaha or some CFG. And you were like, nah, maybe later.
Dude, I can't believe I was writing that.
Right. And so compare, because people need to hear this stuff, man, not just people on this call, but everybody does. Like, what did you commit to days wise? And then it wasn't just the leads with you, Jamal. You changed like your whole perspective on what you were willing to do to get successful.
I understood that it's not about the goal, it's about the process. So hear me out for a second, okay? Saving $1 is hard, but saving a quarter for 4 days is not that bad. As a matter of fact, saving a dime for 10 is really easy. The problem is people get caught up with the 10 days that it takes, and how long it would take to get something. You can get anything you want. You just have to do the daily process. The question isn't, can you get $1? The question is, did you save your dime today? So to put that into work perspective is basically, let's say you want to write 500 in a week consistently, right? Well, 500 sounds hard, but it's really just 100 a day for 5 days. Now, you might have never seen 500, but you have wrote 500 in a day, right? Now, 100 a day might sound hard, but it's really just 10 door knocks. So the question isn't, can you write 500 a week? The question is, did you knock on your 10 doors today, right? Mm-hmm. And the kicker is, now I'm not saying go work 5 days a week and go to work like I'm about to go right now, right? But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is the kicker of that is if you get 100 on your first door knock, you still got 9 door knocks to go, right? So it's not about the outcome anymore. It's just about the process of knocking on 10 doors. And so for me, understanding that is just a microcosm of everything I want in life, right? You break it down into whatever the daily process would be and forget about the future because you don't know if you'll live to see it. So you just do what you got to do today. And the byproduct will be the outcome, your goal, right? Whatever that goal is.
Bro, you got me ready to go work out.
That I really got that from the gym, honestly, too. Like that the gym helped me understand that. It's just showing up. Like you'll get all that other stuff, like, but you gotta show up. You just gotta do what you gotta do today. And don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow's not here. Tomorrow, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow.
That's right. It ain't happened yet. No, it's like, and I refer stuff to sports all the time. It's like in golf, people are always, and I'm again, speaking to myself, the worst about it. You're like, don't go right. Dang it. You know what I mean? Like whatever you're thinking is what you're going to do. So stop thinking about the negatives. Think about whatever positives you can attach yourself to, because otherwise the result is going to be dependent on how you think. The situation doesn't change based on how you think. You get
And
what I mean?
also, how I also look at it too is that we get paid just as much for a no as we do for a yes. Now, hear me out. If you get, let's say you knock on 10 doors, right? Let's say you get 10 no's and you get 1 yes, and then that 1 yes you made $1,000. Well, instead of dividing it by 1, you divide it by 10, and for every door you knocked on, you made $100, right? So every time somebody slams the door in your face, thank you for your $100. It's really not. It's really easy. You get paid for knocking on doors. You don't get paid for writing apps. If you look at it like you get paid for writing apps, then you're gonna be outcome oriented rather than process oriented.
Which is like listening to you, man, it's like people are just different. Like there's no like when I talk to you, and this has been since I've known you, even like when you were in your downtime, it's like you just look at things as the light shining on it and not the dark. You know what I mean? And that's something that's powerful, man. Because like I said, I talked to you, and I remember when you were first getting into digital leads, and you were like, give me 100. And I was like, okay. And I think you got like $103 old leads. And then you hit me up like 2 days later and you're like, I'm never going back.
I'm never going back. I literally bought 300 that week after that.
Yeah.
I bought 300.
Even crazy.
Like, I want the whole county. I was like, how many will you allow me to buy? Like,
yeah, did it, man. And that, man, ever since then, it's been like, you're just a rocket ship. So my last question for you, man, and this is an important one to me, especially, is quality of business. Like, man, talk on, and I know you came on the call a couple of weeks ago, or it might have been a month ago at this time, and you talked about quality of business a little bit, but tell me, what do you do, or what do you feel like you do that causes you to have such good quality business?
Well, I'll say where it started from. It started from back in the Securus days, when, I didn't really know how to control my chargebacks. And I was living with Jordan at the time. We was roommates. And then it was my first time ever being 2,500 in the negative. And back then, if you got that far in the negative, I think you just don't get paid. I think all your money goes towards I don't know, but whatever it was, I had never been that far in the negative, $2,500 in the negative. And I was like, bro, this is like, what can I do? And what I do, guys, is, one, if they are broke, listen, believe them. Okay, don't try to sell them a $40 app. If they tell you that they're pushing it, right? It's at the, they got a little bit left at the end of the month. Like, no, like, don't try to sell them a $30 app. Like, it will be a chargeback every time. It will be.
The first
now look, I guess take what I say with a grain of salt, because maybe somebody might want you to get that $40 app. I don't know, but I'm telling you from my experience, if somebody tells you that they're just, they're struggling right now, just, hey, give them your business card and say, hey, man, when things get better, I'm here for you. Also, what else? It's just, I think I kind of have a little bit of an advantage because I didn't grow up with family. It was just me and my mom. I never had a lot of family. So for me, they are like my family. Even on Thanksgivings, I go to friends' Thanksgivings. I don't have family to, Christmas parties, stuff like that. I don't have that. So for me, the people I meet is very important. The people I meet is more important than the money I make. Because if I'm ever down bad, I promise you, I can call up one of my clients and lay my head on their sofa or whatever the case. So that's important to me. And they feel that, and I tell them that not just because it works, but it's true. They are really like my family. They look at me like their son, and I promise you, if someone ever wrote their son a policy, if someone's son ever wrote them a policy, you're not getting them out of it. I would love to be a fly on the wall and see someone try to take my client out, even if they could save them $5. You're not gonna do it, man. You're not gonna do it. And even when I can't get someone out, I respect the agent. I'm like, man, that agent must have really put some work in, like for me to not get them out of this. I was like, and I love it.
It's funny, man, because it's like I just said earlier, you see everything with a light on it. You take a situation like you just said where you couldn't talk somebody into saving money, and instead of you being like, they're so stupid, why aren't they listening to me? Your agent did such a good job. Way to go, buddy. You know what I mean? It's just
It's like, yeah.
is everything, man. And that I just love talking to you because it's like electric, man. All right.
Hey, Josiah, real quick.
Go ahead,
man. I just want to build on what Jamal said real quick, man. So I had a customer years ago, back when I was a mechanic. I used to work on her vehicle, and I just happened to run into her. She was one of my leads doing insurance, and that was 2 weeks ago. I sold her a policy. She had 3 different ones, 2 wholes, 1 term. I got her into 130,000 term or whole life policy. I'm actually going to meet her at 11:30 today to write a policy on her son and her daughter. And then I had a guy that I sold last week. I met up with him and his daughter Tuesday morning just so she could verify that the policy we put him in was a good one. It didn't need to go up or down. And I got to go meet up with them later today or beginning of next week to put her in a different policy than what she's in to get better coverage for a less price. Her husband doesn't have a policy, so we're going to write his. And then she's got a 15-year-old son that she wants to go ahead and put into a whole life policy. So building that rapport with customers, like Jamal said, I mean, that's where it's at. Build relationships as you do it. They're not just a paycheck. They are becoming part of your family.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys like D-Lay them, they spend 30 minutes in the house, if that, right? I'm in the house at least an hour and a half. Like I'm okay with that. I'm gonna secure my app every time. Like I try to create a memorable moment too at some point, even if it's right at the door. So everybody, like at least 60% of the houses we go to got like a little cantankerous dog, right? Barking. I'm like, oh, I see you got your little guard dog, right? And so just anything to put a smile on their face at some point, right? And that'll help me get in the door just by saying, oh, I see you got your guard dog. Before I even say who I am, they've already got a smile on their face and laughing about something. And so I try to create a memorable moment. If I see a Bible, then I know to start using words like God forbid this or God forbid that, right? And then I just, you know what I mean? Like I'm very, very I listen. I listen to them and I just let them know that I'm here for you. I say words like I'm here to help you, not hurt you. I want to make sure that you can afford this. I don't want you to get too much that you can't afford. I want to make sure you can afford it because I'm here to help you, not hurt you. Little words like that. I tell them and I told them at the door, I tell them, hey, give me 5 minutes. You'll be glad I came. Even if I can't help you, you'll be glad I came. Just little stuff like that. The main thing is just making sure they can afford it. No, don't let them get because they want 50,000. They can't. You're right. Don't know. I'll literally sit down there and see how much they can really afford. And I always say, well, would this keep you up at night? Would $60 keep you up at night? Would $80 keep you up at night? They say no, then you're good.
Yeah, I did that with a lady yesterday. I'm sorry, Josiah. I did that with a lady. I'm sorry, not yesterday. Wednesday, I went and we were sitting there looking at 3 different price points, and she really wanted the $15,000 policy, but she kept going back to the 10. And I told her, I said, well, tell you what, I said, let's go with the 10. I said, because you seem most comfortable with that. I said, I don't want to put you in something that 6 months down the road you can't afford any longer. And then you're screwed because you're out of a policy. I said, if you get 6 months down the road with this 10K and you decide you want more, then call me and we'll add more to it. But I'd rather start low and work up than completely get screwed in the long run with your finances. And she was happy as could be about it. And
one thing to add into what you were kind of talking about a little bit earlier there, Trey, is it's funny because it's like I talked about, you said you understand about 5 to 10% of insurance. And you're already getting people to send you referrals. And so it just like, I try to remind people, and I say this all the time, it has to do with you. It's not like your knowledge is amazing. Your knowledge is going to be great, but it's you that's getting the referrals. I mean, there's a lot of agents that we have that don't, like, referrals aren't even a thing. It's just work leads, work leads, work leads. If you already 2 weeks in have your clients sending you other people to write, that means that you're connecting on a whole nother level, and then you're following through on it to where they're like, man, this was a great experience. Let me tell my buddy, or let me tell my family member, or let me tell my friend. And that doesn't happen to every insurance agent. A lot of agents are getting out of that house and trying to get out as fast as they can so they can keep on going and get to the next house. And they're not getting those referrals. So I would speak to that, man. That's awesome. So, all right, next. Thank you, Jamal, for coming on, man. You did amazing. Thank you so much for talking with everybody. Ian, Zach, you guys out there?
Yes.
What's up, fellas? All right. So, everybody, if you're not talking, just make sure we're on mute just because some background noise will come through and we want to keep it clear for everybody so they're able to hear. I'll kind of have each one of you answer these on your own, and then we'll kind of come together a little bit. But how long were you each in the business before you started adding different products or started kind of letting your mind wander on, like, maybe there's more out there than just life insurance, which, Zach, you probably wondered that since college because you went to school for this, but me and Ian didn't. We'll let Ian go first, and then Zach can go second on that question.
All right. So yeah, I did, the Securus thing for 3 years. And then in 2015 is whenever I started. And then 2018, me and my wife were discussing, hey, are we going to try and have kids sometime soon? And we were looking at, okay, what does that look like? What do we want to do? And I was like, well, I don't want to be obligated to be out on the road all the time. So if I can try and diversify what I'm offering to folks, that might allow me to do some more local stuff as well as doing some traveling. So 2018 is where I started branching out to the Medicare and annuity stuff.
So it took 3 years.
Yeah, 3
probably,
years.
Yeah, probably a little over 3 years. All right, Zach, what about you, man? How fast?
So I came in from commercial underwriting, went straight to final expense. That was 2018. And then it was 2020 when COVID hit, and there was just a lot of stuff going on, not having people give more objection about being in the house. So it's like, how do I really get more out of each house? And then that's when I picked up Medicare, annuities, all that fun stuff. It's about 2 years.
Nice, man. And so when you guys first started thinking about the new, because I think there's like a mindset with that, and I'll ask this question before I get on to the next one, is you guys are both two people. Ian builds computers and everybody calls you the brain. So like you guys weren't afraid, like there was no fear. There was no like question on whether you could or couldn't. It's kind of like Jamal said earlier, if Jordan can do it, so can I. It's like you guys have that mindset about anything when it comes to like learning stuff. And so speak on that a little bit. Like when I talk to you two and a lot of the other people in this group, I could give you guys the biggest, most unimaginable task that most people in the world would be like, man, that sounds very complicated and complex. And you guys are both two people that are going to go research it, figure it out, build it. Like Ian's literally coming over to my house and he's making like my kids' toys to like these little spinner things with a 3D printer. And I'm just like, I have no idea how that was, you know what I mean? I don't even know where to start with stuff like this. And so talk about that. Like because and the reason why I want you to talk about that is because, and I mean this in the nicest way, no type of point intended with this, but like there's only certain people that need to do Medicare and annuities, and it's okay if you are just a life person. That's, you still can make an amazing income in this. But if your fear is learning new things or passing a test or stuff like that, then I don't think Medicare and annuities are probably the route you want to go, because it is so much more of that style of work than the life insurance side is. So speak to that real quick, Ian.
Yeah, I think it definitely boils down to personality type in terms of what interests you, right? I like puzzles. I've ever since I was young, I've always liked trying to figure things out. And then whenever I think this comes from my sports background from when I was young, you know, I just anytime someone was better than me at something, I didn't look at it as like as a negative or as something that oh, I just suck at this or whatever. No, I looked at it as like they have two legs, they have two arms, they have a head and a brain. I got them same things. There's nothing preventing me from doing exactly what they're doing or even better than what they're doing. So I look at that with everything in life. If I'm able to go out there and, or if I see someone out there writing annuity business and I see that the kind of money that can bring, I'm like, well, I would like to figure out how to bring in that kind of money on you know, a case here and there. That'd be good. So I just start peeling back the curtains a little bit, and you realize that while it was scary, it was only scary because you didn't know what was involved. And then you dive into it a little bit, and you're like, okay, it's actually, it is doable. It's just, you just got to educate yourself a little bit. And then you just like with the life insurance stuff, because none of us prior to getting into life insurance or, you know, final expense coverage, I guarantee none of us thought anything about life insurance or about what a final expense policy was until we got out into the field and we learned about how it works, how to sell it to someone. And then now we understand how it works because we just got our hands dirty with it, you know?
I love it. All right, Zach, what you got on that?
I would say to that point, there was a quote. I don't know exactly if this is verbatim, but ignorance is the most expensive thing in the world. Just because you don't know what you don't know. Insurance is a huge industry. It touches everything that we do. So just knowing and like Ian said, seeing what other people were able to do and knowing that like I'm one of the people that can put my mind to anything and make it happen. But figuring out that puzzle, what that process looks like, what situations do certain products make sense, and kind of unraveling that, and then keeping myself accountable for kind of learning those things, not being prideful, asking questions when you don't know.
That's right. All right, my next question for you guys. How has it affected your business and quality of life by being able to add the multiple lines? And Ian, you can go first. And I know you kind of talked about this a little bit at the beginning statement, but go ahead.
Well, to give a brief background about where I came from, I worked for Hertz Rental Car for 8 years. I was managing a couple offices and I 8 years of the corporate world, and I knew that that was not what I was destined for, right? So coming from that and then going and learning about how the insurance game can really impact someone's income, I was like, let me go check that out. So I started diving into that and realized, hey, if I can make this kind of money on a shorter amount of time, as long as I can make what I made at Hertz doing life insurance, then I'll be happy because I'll have more free time, because time is a currency, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we need money to go buy things, but time is a currency just as much as money is. So finding a way to increase the income related to how much time is required to get that income was something I was interested in, right? So doing the final expense insurance showed me that there's a lot of folks that need help. I think it was, who was it? Zach just said about how ignorance, you know, is very expensive. We saw a lot of folks over the years where we're seeing them in their 60s and 70s, and we see what their lifestyle led them to. And there are instances where we're like, hey, that's the kind of retirement I want to have. And we saw some where we're like, I definitely don't want my retirement years to be anything like that, right? So coming from a service standpoint, when you're serving folks with the intention of purely helping them, you start to get them asking you questions about other things that maybe you don't know about. So there's many times when I was doing the secure stuff where people are asking me, hey, do you help people with Medicare? And so many people, I said, no, I don't touch. I don't know anything about it. So long story short, going from the great income from final expense sales and just adding Medicare was a mindset shift somewhat, because I'm still doing the life insurance gig. Medicare doesn't pay as much upfront, but it was something I was very interested in, was the residual income, right? Because if I can build a book of business, I saw how many people I wrote life insurance on. If I wrote that same number of people a Medicare plan, I'd be getting, 5-10 grand every month, every year from here on out. Why wouldn't I just add that to what I'm already selling, right? So why the heck not? So I started to figure that out. And then I was like, let me also just add annuities, because I don't know how it works, but let me just learn it, and I can maybe uncover an opportunity. I wrote my first Medicare plans in 2019, and I wrote my first annuity in 2019 as well. And it was a large one. It was $800,000 annuity, and it changed everything about my perspective on what the potential was with income, right? I don't know. It's not all about money, because at the end of the day, yes, I want to get paid well, but I'm solving problems for people. At the end of the day, it's life insurance. I'm solving a need for someone. Medicare. Everyone has Medicare. All we have to do is help them match what plan best fits their situation using the formulary, what doctors. It's very easy. But if you do a good job of it and truly serve them from the standpoint of, I'm here to help you, I'm not here just to get a sale and then get out. And that also translates into the retirement side, like annuities. Why not try to educate folks and come from a humble perspective of, I'm here to serve. And if I can't improve your situation, I honestly want to walk away and let them know you're good where you're at. And that feels good, and it legitimizes what we do. But then also when those opportunities come and you really can help someone out, everybody wins. And how often is there an instance where someone's buying and someone's selling and everybody's a winner, right? Someone's typically, I shouldn't have paid that much, or whatever it is. There's always someone who's giving or taking. And if you can find a way that everyone wins and you're making money, good money doing it, it was a huge change for my life. And at the end of the day, having more time, we have a soon to be 9-month-old upstairs right now. So I get to spend a lot of time with him whenever I'm not out there working. So it's been a blessing all the way around.
He has a funny shirt that says, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Zach, speak on that real quick.
So I would say the main thing is from, just a strictly business perspective, because I know you and I talked about this when I was first coming back on, was I was in data analytics a little bit right out of college. And one of the things that we noticed was what caused someone to move where their policy was. And there were two contributing factors to that, one being not hearing from the agent. So to Jamal's point, treat your folks like family. And two was having one line of business in the house, because we've all been in situations where you go knock on the door, they say, I got somebody that does that. You probe a little bit, you find out they do their life insurance, they do their health insurance, they may do their car insurance, and it just makes it so much more difficult, even if you can put them into a better situation, to get them to leave that other agent. So in my mind, I came across a bunch of those people and I'm like, why am I not that guy?
Mhm.
So by doing that, and to Ian's point as well, we've all been in situations where knock on the door, oh, I thought this was about health insurance. I didn't know this was about life insurance. So it's like got my brain turning, and really it's about health insurance is something tangible to them. It's something they use now. Whereas life insurance, you're selling a promise that they'll never see fulfilled. But if you can build that trust on the front end with the health insurance, and you go you get them the food card, you drop the cost of their prescriptions, you get them Part B back for veterans, then that instantly legitimizes you. Now they have no reason to believe that what you're saying on the life side is wrong. So you do that for people, then every other person that comes knocking on that door is getting turned away. So you'll see your placement and persistency increase, and every chargeback you're not having to write over is money that's getting deposited for you.
Nice, man. And that he's exactly right. Obviously talking to quality of business and then talking to that touch that Jamal spoke on. It's like that's going to make game changers in everybody's quality of business. So my last question for you too, and this is something for some of the newer agents, hopefully they can take something from your answer, is if you could go back to the you that was the first, when you were just hitting that third month in the business of life insurance, or when you first got in the business, what would you want to like really relate to yourself then that you know now? And Ian, you can speak on that first.
I think Jamal did a great job of summarizing what I think was the biggest mindset shift for myself. And one of my downlines, Peyton, this is one of the things I said to the other day. I was like, if I could just impart upon you my understanding about how this works, I would do it, but there's no shortcut to getting through to the point to where you posted on GroupMe recently, and you're like, yesterday was a tough day. And I'm glad you posted that, because I told her, I was like, look at GroupMe. It looks like a lot of activity, but I looked at a few names. I was like, look, we didn't see so-and-so's name at all yesterday. Were they working yesterday? Yes, they were. They didn't write anything, but they were working. So when you're out there and you're knocking, and you can get in your head and you think I'm doing something wrong or I'm questioning something, at the end of the day, it's just a numbers game. If you are doing your job, going and knocking on doors with the intention of serving and helping folks, you're gonna come across sales. Like that is the thing I would want to instill in myself at month number 3, from not just I hear what you're saying and understand it, but actually like understanding it and not fretting about having a rough day, because the rough days come. You're gonna have a couple of days where it's like, hey, it was slower, but it wasn't until I was like probably a year into it where I would be like on a Wednesday, and let's say, God forbid, I was a 0 on a Wednesday, where, yeah, it would stink. We're still humans and we can't completely control our emotions, but it was not the same as whenever I was like 3 months in. I'm sweating bullets. I'm freaking out about, I haven't written anything. It's Tuesday night or Wednesday. No, hey, Wednesday. And then next, it's happened so many times. And that's what it comes from. The reinforcement of your past reinforces your belief of where you're at today. So then it's no longer a concern about, Wednesday, I haven't written anything, I can actually, I'll just go find one. And then next, I wrote, 200 or 300 on a Wednesday after being, 0, Wednesday morning. So I think that was just a big thing. And it's hard to understand that until you've gone through the motions, right? So those that are newer in the insurance game, it sounds cliche, and I hate cliches, but why are they cliches? So there's truth in them, right? You have to go through the difficulty, the adversity, so that you can understand the whole picture, right? You have to go through it to familiarize yourself with that. I've been down this road a million times. I'm not freaking out because I've done this before. And there's always tomorrow I can go work. That's what's awesome about this is we make our schedules, and we also make we decide what our income is. So that would be what I would say is mindset and just pushing through.
I gotcha. And it's funny that you say that, because I remember how many times back in the day, and again, guys, everything that I tell you guys, I've lived, I've felt, I've complained to people about, and I've been complained about. So, and that's why I can feel like just like Ian said, I've experienced that, so I can speak on it with all transparency. And I remember people on Tuesday nights just being like, man, it's been the worst week. I just, this, or even Wednesday night. I'm like, most people work 5 days a week. Like it's we're working 3. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Like if you
Exactly.
been a bad week on Tuesday, you're literally 40% through the week. Like
Yeah.
you got 60% left. If I judged everything on the first 40% of what I did, I probably wouldn't get that good of results.
Exactly. Yep.
Like you said, a numbers game, and it's sometimes in our business we turn a 3-day work week into a full work week, and it's just not like. And you'll reason with yourself, oh, the drive there, oh, I had to stay at a hotel, oh, I was away from this, like there's no, now that we have these digital leads, guys, and especially for the Mississippi crew, because they're about working local just about every week. And anybody in the outskirts of South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi can really work local just about every week. But we in Georgia, we don't have a lot of times that luxury just because of how many agents we have here in Georgia. And so you should always have a stack of local leads though. And they're out there and you can get them and you can have them saved and you can have them ready to go. I know Buddy's huge on this. He's probably got a couple hundred leads just sitting there for any new agent that he has that wants to work on a Thursday and Friday. And so
Nice.
that speaks to that. So I love that, man. Zach, what you got for us?
I would say when I was first getting started is put more action to it. So I'm definitely someone that is a victim of analysis paralysis. So I like to think everything out, have everything planned, and then not take any action on it before then. Something I've definitely had to be mindful of and work on. So just focusing on your IPAs, income producing activities, and then in your free time, work on your knowledge. Because it's definitely got me in some situations where it's like I have all this knowledge, I know what I'm doing, but I'm spending more time actually learning than I am going out helping people. So don't get bogged down in the details. Just go out, do what you know how to do, and when you have a question, reach up.
That's right. And it's funny you said, because like me and Zach, it's like and I try to be real as I can and talk about my faults, talk about my things I'm good at. And it's funny because sometimes we know too much. It's like we talked to Trey earlier. Trey said he knows 5 to 10% about insurance and he's killing it, right? So it's like I'm sitting there yesterday and I'm literally thinking back to this while you're talking, Zach. And Lane was with me, so he can I'm literally looking at this guy and I found out he was paying 600 and there wasn't a word that wasn't coming out of my mouth. I'm just like, and everything's just shooting right over this guy's head. He's looking at me and he has no clue what I'm talking about. And in my mind, I'm not even focused on that. I just can't wait to keep telling him why I can help him and all this stuff. And I'm just boom, 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 hitting him with all this knowledge. And I told Lane when we got in the car, I was like, man, that guy doesn't even
slow down, brother.
Yeah, man, you got to slow down. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, man, you're so right. And I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, he's missing out. I'm like, he's the one that he's missing out because he didn't listen to me. You know what I mean? And if you want the result, you got to flip the way you think. I could keep thinking that way, but I'm still going to not get the policy. You know what I mean? So it's like,
what got you super excited, bro, was seeing that he had 6 different policies. So it's not necessarily just the 600 premium, but it was the 6 different policies. You're like, what in the world?
And it was a nice house. And I'm just like, you guys don't even know the smile. I sat good.
Hey, we're going back.
Yeah, we going back. I sat down on that good looking hard couch and I looked at that guy and I think every word I said went over his head. As soon as he told me 6 policies and 600, I was like, let's do this thing. What do you need to know? Because I got it all. But anyways, I got in the car and I had to check myself because I even told Lane this. I was like, man, I said it. And I just told y'all guys, I was like, man, that guy's missing out. He's missing out for not listening to me. Like blah, 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 blah. Well, who's missing out really? Because I left without the sale. So I'm the loser. He won. You know what I mean? Stop. You can't look at things that way. And sometimes that's a selfish way of looking at it. Like, man, it's almost like an egotistical type of way. And you got to have confidence in this, no doubt. But you definitely can't go in and it's the client's fault. Because if you have that mindset, then eventually you're going to stop treating them like Jamal said, family, and you're going to start just talking at them. And sometimes I'm first one that's guilty of that. I was talking to Isaiah for like probably 20 minutes in a driveway last night. And I was like, man, and I told him I was going to do it in the next house I went to. Unfortunately, I didn't get into another one, but I was like, I'm just going to sit there for an hour and try to talk to them about everything that I can before I start rattling off insurance knowledge. You know what I mean? And that's something that I feel like we as successful people in this, depositing what we've deposited, written the amount of business that we have, having enough people in our back pocket that we could call and say, he changed my life on my income. It's like you're going out with almost too much confidence sometimes, because you're like, everyone's lucky that I'm coming to their door today. You know what I mean? And you've got to spend more time getting them to like you, not just having that blind faith that like they're going to automatically listen to me because of all the things I've done that they have no clue about. You know what I mean? It's like you've got to check yourself and back up and work on your connection, work on your, and that's what Trey's doing now. I mean, that's why Trey's writing the apps he is. That's why he's getting referrals already. It's like he's connecting. And all the other insurance jargon, they like to hear it once they've connected with you. That's why when the in and up calls are so huge, because your job as a new agent is to go in there and get them to like you, and then call somebody that knows what they're talking about and let them be the person that's speaking over the person's head for a minute until you bring it back to, hey, let's connect again. And then the policy's written. So I love that. Other than that, that's really all the topics I had today. Was there anybody that wanted to come on and share anything or ask a question real quick before I kind of wrap this thing up? All right, y'all. Well, I enjoyed it. Episode 2 is in the books. I hope you guys have a great weekend, buddy. Enjoy your birthday. Enjoy that concert tonight, man. Yeah, man. And the rest of you guys, just call me if you need me. I'm going to be up here at the office the rest of the day working. So y'all enjoy your weekend. Have a good one.
Later.